Hey guys, Dustin, PPC Pros. I'm doing this video and we're going to talk about the age-old question, which is better, Google Ads or SEO? Which one wins the battle? You probably think because I have a PPC channel and a PPC agency that I'm just going to say Google Ads, SEO sucks, don't spend any money there. I think I might surprise some of you guys. So I want to talk about this in the context of Watersports, tour operators, and local businesses in general, although a lot of this carries over for e-commerce, things like that. But there's a few very specific points that are based on local businesses. So that's what we're going to look at, just a few points on that. So really quickly, let's jump right in. We've got these two competing strategies, seemingly competing strategies that are vying for your attention, your loyalty, your dollars, marketing dollars. And if you're wondering which one is the better option of the two, let's just go and jump right in and look at some pros and some of the cons for each one. Okie dokie, let's start with the pros and we'll start with SEO. I'm gonna move my head up here so you guys could read. So search engine optimization. What are some of the pros for SEO? Well, it attracts high quality leads. That could also be said for PPC though, because you're looking at people who are actively searching for what you have to offer and they have other options on the page. I think with SEO, they have a little bit more options, but technically the ads are showing on the same page that you'd be ranking for organically for the most part. So it could be true for both, but high quality, that's really important. Reviews are also part of what the customers see in the search. So if you do a Google search, you look on the maps listings, which I will cut and show you real quick. Okie dokie, so I'm looking right now at Boat Rental Miami. I just did a search for Boat Rental Miami as an example. It could be anything, but you can see when it comes to ranking, the maps is where it's at for the most part, and you get your reviews to show. So that really helps in terms of conversion optimization or pre-selling people. Okay, this must be a great experience, right? They might come to you pre-positioned to buy, and that's really, really cool. So going back to our presentation, that is what they see in the SERPs. That is a pro. Could also be said to be true for Google Ads. Not trying to compare them to be the same thing, but it can be true depending on how you do them. Another pro, which is really good, is that you're not going to pay per click. If you get 10 people to your website from SEO, or you get 110, or you get 1,010, your costs never change because getting the ranking is what you paid for probably, either through time or effort or an agency. So no matter how much traffic you get, if things spike, your budget stays exactly the same. You have fixed costs for that particular channel. Also, this has been said to be true over the years. I don't have a recent stat, but the last one I remember hearing about several years back was that on average, the first organic result, and this was again probably before Maps was the way it is and we had so many ads on the top, got about 42% of the traffic. So the average click-through rate in PPC depends on the keyword, the market, all that fun stuff, but you're talking anywhere from as low as 3% click-through rate up to maybe 20% click-through rate. So, it could be a little more, it could be a little less, depends on several factors. But you can see as a percentage of the overall traffic that hits that search results page, organic tends to get more. Now, Google changes things all the time. That stat's kind of old. It might be a little bit closer now, but I can tell you just from what we see, a lot of times the maps can, specifically Google Maps, can get a lot more clicks and traffic than just the ads, okay? So that is another pro. Let's talk about some of the cons for SEO, okay? So it will take you months to achieve results. It's not gonna happen overnight. It's not gonna happen quickly. You can't just do it really, really fast. Maybe some flash in the pan kind of stuff, or maybe you got some stuff on page 2 of the results already and you just need a little bit of work to get into page 1. Okay, great. Those are great outlier things, but in general, SEO is going to take you months to get a result. That means you're paying for this service or you're working on it for months before you ever see any return, okay? That is not always something people feel comfortable with, but that is the reality of what you're doing with SEO. The other con is that there's no guarantee you will ever rank. If you have a pretty good SEO, chances are you will at some point, but remember, all your competition can hire good SEOs too. So there's no guarantee that you will ever rank, and there's no guarantee you're going to keep that position for any amount of time, because it's always being vied for by your competitors, and that's just the way it is. The other con is that you might only be able to rank in your local area. So let's just say this may not even be an issue for you, but let's just say your physical location is an area that, and this is more for like service businesses, let's say, or businesses that you have a big city nearby you and you want to pull from that city to where you're located. So let's say, for example, you are an offskirt or an offshoot of Miami, and you do boat rentals. We just did a search for boat rentals, but you're not maybe you're like on the outskirts of Miami, right? If you are not city center or located in the middle, sometimes it'd be very hard to get rankings for Miami. You might only rank your small suburb or town or offshoot area. That's not always the case, but that could be the case, and that could be very limiting for you. So just be aware that it's possible that you may only rank in your local area, and that may or may not be a problem for you, but just be aware of it. And then the last con I have on the list, I'm sure there's more, is you need to have a website that is optimized for humans and for robots, meaning Google's algorithm. So that could mean a redesign, that could mean an overhaul, that could mean a very expensive proposition for you if your website right now is not already optimized and ready to go. It also means you have to go create ongoing content to maintain that. Again, it all depends on the school of thought you have for SEO and the approaches that you take. So, saw some pretty good pros, got a few cons here that are mainly related to limitations with the time it takes, limitations with maybe your website, limitations with your local area, and also no guarantee. So we've got that. Let's jump into Google Ads. So Google Ads pros. One, you get to the top of the search results almost instantly. So basically you're paying to play. As long as you have a campaign set up, you've got enough budget and bid and things like that, and you set things up right, you can basically get to the top of the blah, blah, blah. You can basically get to the top of the search results for the keywords you want almost instantly without any issue. Of course, you do have competition, that's part of it, but you can pretty much get there if you want to. Also, ROI. The ROI is very trackable. Now, if you're talking about people who call you on the phone, then turn into, a booking or turn into a customer offline, that could be a little bit trickier, but it is trackable. There are ways to do it. With SEO, it could also potentially be trackable as well, but maybe not back to the keyword. Pretty much never back to the keyword that somebody searched, because Google doesn't give you that data most of the time. For PPC, you're paying for that data. Google does give you most of that data most of the time, and you can tell which keywords, ads, campaigns, things like that are the most profitable because you're able to see an ROI and you're able to see conversions. PPC is also easy to scale. So assuming you have enough people in your market actually doing a search for the keywords that you're going after, if you wanted more of them and there's more available, you can simply increase your budget and get those people showing up on your website, your landing page, pretty much instantly. You could also add more keywords, increase your bids, do things like that as well. But the point of it is that with SEO, if your rankings are wherever they are, there's not much you can do right away to scale besides hope to rank higher, okay? Google Ads, it's a little bit easier than that. Another pro for Google Ads is, unlike the full website thing we just talked about for SEO, where it's gotta be all right, you can use landing pages. You can really use anything. Now, it doesn't mean it's gonna convert well. Doesn't mean you just throw any old garbage up. You still have the same rules apply that you do want to optimize for humans as well as robots, because you want conversion, but you don't need to hope that your landing page is, going to rank in the search results. You can literally send traffic to it. I see people send traffic to bad pages all the time. Google will still give you the traffic. You just might not get the result. And of course, they may charge you more depending on how crappy your page is, how relevant it is. So that's another thing to factor in. And then lastly, for what I've got, I sort of alluded to this before, but you can also show ads in the map pack and with reviews. So just going really quickly back to our example here, there are sometimes ads right at this very top spot, the same place you pray and you hope and you pay for in SEO. Sometimes ads show here, but in almost every instance, in any real market for any kind of search, you can see right here, these are ads. So we are taking the top spot with reviews. You could even use a dedicated tracking number here if you wanted to. A lot of people don't realize that, so you can see those calls separate from your organic maps rankings, because if you don't use a tracking number, Google will use your regular Google Business Profile number. So we can show up in prime real estate right here just by paying to play and understanding how to get there with settings. Okie dokie. So that is what we got there. So let's look at some of the cons of PPC. Well, the one big one is that you never actually own the traffic. Now, you don't technically own the SEO traffic either, but in this case, when you stop paying Google today on Google Ads, that traffic goes away today. SEO, you might stop paying your SEO today, but those rankings could last for weeks, months, years, right? So there's an ongoing benefit, assuming nothing happens to your SEO work, that you're not going to get from PPC. So that is a downside. Another con is that you got to make sure you know your numbers for ROI. What does that mean? It means you got to track. You have to know how much can you pay for a lead or a click, depending on how detailed you get. How much can you pay for a booking if you're doing that, or for a service call? You definitely want to know your numbers, because unlike SEO, which I do believe you still want to know your numbers, it's not dependent on every single click having incremental cost, right? You pay a certain amount to get ranked, and you can divide all the revenue from that across that investment. With Google Ads, technically you could still go that route too. It's much better when you know your numbers, so you know what keywords to pay for, what to bid on them, which ones to get rid of, and that sort of thing. So a lot more numbers driven in my opinion. As far as another con, tracking, I don't personally think it's that tricky, but for everybody else, it seems like it's pretty tricky. And it depends on the systems that you use and what you want to track. But if you don't know what you're doing, it can be a little tricky in the beginning to get it set up. That's where you might just want to hire somebody to do it, or use a system that integrates pretty well with Google Ads or Analytics and do it that way. Another con is, this is for my Watersports tour operator guys, is when you're thinking about Google Ads, you're typically competing with the big boys. The big boys like TripAdvisor, Get Your Guide, all these big guys, because they can't rank in the Google Maps section organically, because they're not a local business. They do compete with you in SEO for regular organic results, not in the maps. They're definitely going to kick your butt there for the most part. Not always, but for the most part. In Google Ads, they are also bidding up your keywords. They're also even bidding on your brands a lot of times if you're using them for bookings. So in that respect, you can be competing with some of the big boys. That doesn't mean you can't win, because we beat them all the time. It just means that they're somebody you have to factor into the equation, okay? So with all of that said, between Google Ads, SEO, and the points that we just saw, if they were to battle it out, in my opinion, which one wins? Which one should you do? My answer is both. If you are planning to be in business, I've said this before, for any number of years, then reality is do both. Now, some people decide for one versus the other. Here's the way I look at it. If you need bookings right now, today, Google Ads is going to be the way to go, right? If you want bookings for the long term, I think SEO is the way to go. But I think you can actually, and depending on your budget right now, I'd say it's a good idea to have a strategy where maybe you start with Google Ads if you're just getting things going, right? You start making money there, making sure that works while you're building a business, bookings, revenue, reinvesting those profits back into either more Google Ads if you need the business today, or also into SEO for the long term. You're going to want to get SEO rankings at some point in your existence, because that is great to have diversity. It's great to diversify your traffic portfolio. At the end of the day, they're both Google though. You're getting people searching for what you have to offer. You're just getting them two different ways. One is a pay to play. Well, they're both pay to play. One you pay Google to play, one you pay an SEO or somebody, or you get knowledge on how to rank there organically. They both cost you money. They both, as you just saw, have pros and cons, but the best approach is to do them together, do them in a way that makes sense, allocate budget accordingly. If you see SEO is really driving a lot more bookings and the cost per booking is less based on what you're paying, you might put more money there. Maybe you stop Google Ads at that point, it's up to you. But again, if you want to grow and you want to take over more market share, having Google Ads and SEO, they say that the sum of, oh God, I get this phrase wrong all the time. Basically, doing them both together gives you exponential results. It's not just 1 + 1 = 2. It's like 1 + 1 = 3. The last time I heard the explanation on that. So it's good to have both, honestly. And then if one day your SEO goes kaput, a competitor beats you or something like that, your Google Ads is there to pick up the slack instantly. You're not having to try to figure out Google Ads later on when you absolutely need it, and you've got people who have to have a job and you got to pay your bills, you've got something in the hopper that will help diversify things. So with that respect, Google Ads versus PPC, Google Ads versus SEO, they both win, they both have their place. You just have to make an informed decision on what makes sense for you at the moment with your budget, how much you want to allocate there, and make sure you're doing them both well. Okay, so thanks for watching. It's another video with a lot of mistakes. Dustin, PPC Pros. If you have any questions about Google Ads specifically or even SEO, let us know. We're happy to help you any way we can. Take care, God bless, and thanks for watching.